This is Matt from MGMT Boston. We're in Post Office Square today on a beautiful fall day with Brian Benedict, the co-founder of Eliza. Brian, what are you and your team building?
Yeah, great question. So Eliza is a first AI consultancy that really focuses on the people as well as the company. Our focus is really helping people be enabled with OpenAI and actually upskilling their knowledge base so that they can actually build their own workflows, build their own kind of agentic systems on their own. Yeah.
As I told Brian when we got started, I'm happy to spend the time with these AI tools, but when there's so many, where do you even start? What do you want to actually bang your head against to learn? Super hard problem.
Right.
So as you're getting your team off the ground, what are you focused on in terms of getting this company to initial scale and deploying to customers?
So we've built a platform, first of all, that really helps us really segment users. And that's really interesting because when you think about a company, you have your power users that are using agentic workflows and doing API access with OpenAI,
Right.
but then you have a lot of middlers.
Yeah.
And so our ability really is how can we upskill these middlers as well as potentially provide a better system so that you can start seeing what type of productivity you're gaining
Right.
out of people using these types of tools. Because 9 times out of 10, when you have an OpenAI agreement on enterprise, you do get very limited amounts of training
Right.
today. And so we're there to really help get these people up and running with both a platform as well as different types of tooling, as well as people, and then utilize that to really kind of circumvent and understand what different things need to get built in the organization.
Yeah. Is there an example of certain types of companies you're working with? Are these growing venture-backed organizations? Are they sort of large-scale Fortune 1000? What's the archetype of this?
Yeah, so PE firms has been a big place for us where, again, they make a lot of buys of giant groups of licenses and then their portcos all need that access to actually go and do. So
Right.
we've done a lot within that realm. Ironically, large technology companies, it's kind of like these ones that are kind of spending anywhere between 500,000 to about 5 million in enterprise licenses and need more hands-on keyboard to help them get their people where they need to do. And then the other side is really, we're seeing a huge amount of regulatory industry companies, like insurance being one, as well as financial services. It's across the board.
Yeah. Now, Brian didn't say any of this up front, but I think it's important to call out. He's done a ton in his career, whether it's co-founding a small language company called RC before this, one of the first employees at Hugging Face. Brian's been on the bleeding edge of AI since the beginning of AI, at least generative AI. So what have you learned from your career that you would pass back to other builders in the Boston startup ecosystem about what it takes to survive, exist, and advance in this new era?
Yeah, I think it's constant pivoting to some degree, or just being attuned to what the market is.
Right.
And I think the great thing about Boston is we've got such a great ecosystem, a great amount of talent, obviously, right over here, but just constantly listening to customers and doing more.
Yep.
I think the one thing that sometimes we can kind of get a little caught up in being on the East Coast is just not looking ahead to different types of technologies and new innovation that's coming out of the West Coast, because there are some companies out there that are really, really doing interesting stuff. But I feel like when it comes to Bostonians in general, we are a conservative in nature.
Yeah.
But I think our ability to kind of take practical use cases and actually apply them to different things, which is why I think vertical AI has been such a huge movement within Boston, because people are just much more, hey, you know what, that's great that people are building, multi-agent systems. We're going to build something that focuses on real estate, or we're going to focus on something that focuses on very specific industries. So I think that practical manner actually helps in terms of the adoption of where they're going.
Definitely. And last but not least, how can we help you? How can we help Eliza grow here in Boston and beyond?
Yeah, we are hiring across the board right now. So forward deploy engineers, if you're out there, this is a very, very cool, interesting company to be part of. We are ground floor right now, just a handful of people growing very quickly in terms of some of the things we're doing. But that's number one. Looking for product people as we build our platform as well. And then obviously, sales and marketing as well. So we're growing across the board right now, which is really fun.
Love to hear it.
Yeah.
This is Brian Benedict, the co-founder of Eliza, Matt from MGMT Boston on this episode of Lantern. Thanks so much for joining us.
You bet. Thank you.